Ruslan.
Someone that I've always appreciated to a certain degree. I don't endorse all their views or everything they represent, but I think they have some decent ideas that are a lot of times indicative of a Christian biblical worldview, even though there's some issues with their framework and their theology, is Jordan Peterson. And there's a clip that came out recently, Jordan Peterson kind of choking up, talking about Jesus. And I wanted to react to it. There's another channel that reacted to it. Somebody sent me this morning. And I wanted to give you guys my personal assessment of where I guess I kind of think where Jordan Peterson is. And I'll play this real quick, and then I'll give you guys context of some other statements that he said before. And this is somebody that teaches classes on the New Testament, more in a scholarly type of approach, right? But I'm just gonna play this real quick, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts on this.
And the ultimate example of that in principle is supposed to be Christ.
And he's like tearing up.
But I don't know what to, that seems to me oddly plausible, with a power that transcends your ability to resist it. Okay, so you can think about Christ from a psychological perspective, and the critic, my critic, this particular critic that I've been reading, said, well, that doesn't differentiate Christ much from a whole sequence of dying and resurrecting mythological gods. And of course, people have made that claim in comparative religion. Joseph Campbell did that, and Jung to a lesser degree, I would say, but Campbell did that. But the difference, and C.S. Lewis pointed this out as well, the difference between those mythological gods and Christ was that there's a representation of, there's a historical representation of his existence as well. Now, you can debate whether or not that's genuine. You can debate about whether or not he actually lived and whether there's credible objective evidence for that, but it doesn't matter.
He's hit this intersection, and this video is called God is Working on Jordan Peterson. You guys could check it out. He had a pretty gnarly stint with drugs. He had some, not drug, like prescription pills. They had some gnarly stuff, really nasty article from the New York Times that came out about him that kind of alluded to them getting a diagnosis with schizophrenia, and just some nasty stuff in the media regarding Jordan Peterson. Now, the interesting thing is how Jordan Peterson could be very on about the pragmatic side of following Jesus and Christianity, while at the same time, when he was asked flat out, hey, do you believe in the resurrection? Do you believe in the literal resurrection? And his answer, and I'm sorry I don't have the clip pulled up, but I'm sure you can dig it up. His answer was, I'm agnostic about the resurrection. You got somebody that says live life as if God exists, even though they're not sure if God exists, that they teach New Testament courses at the college degree level, right? And he talks about Christ, but he won't acknowledge if the resurrection is literal. By a large definition, someone said that, Jordan Peterson is not a believer. He's not a believer in the literal resurrection, which I think is like, if there's anything you gotta believe, it's the resurrection, right? Like, this is a primary doctrine, the 1 Corinthians 15, it's essential to the faith. And so you have somebody that's so close, yet so detached in a way to acknowledge the bodily resurrection, yet they live as if God exists. And so my thought genuinely is, man, pray for Jordan Peterson, pray that God reveals himself fully to him, that it wouldn't just be the pragmatic side of following Jesus and a pragmatic side of having a worldview where there's a creator that could potentially judge you, but that he would have a real encounter with Jesus and be born again, which sometimes can be very difficult for people who have the outer parts of life right. Meaning that if someone has morality and they have a purpose, right? Because the ultimate purpose is in Jesus, but they have a purpose, they have a career, they have impact, they do all of these things. It can be very difficult for someone in that position to have a full-on surrendering to the Lord Jesus, mind, body, soul, heart, and become a follower and a disciple of Jesus, not just someone that's like, yeah, I live as if God exists. good from a framework and from a philosophical standpoint, live as if God exists. Sure, all that stuff, Jordan Peterson, is cool. But I'm praying that Jordan Peterson has a born again experience and is transformed from the inside out. And maybe him hinting this rough part where he got addicted to pills and had a whole bunch of health conditions. Maybe, just maybe, that could be God trying to pull him in to have that encounter that I think I would pray that he does have. And there's, some of you guys watch this channel. Some of you guys watch, stuff like Dave Ramsey. Some of you guys maybe would ascribe to some of the application points presented here. But when it comes to truly placing your faith in Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, the implication of the resurrection of Jesus in your life, in the life of your loved ones, you stop short of there. You stop short of there. Like, yeah, God, I'm cool with God, and Jesus seems like a cool guy, but like, ooh, he rose from the dead. He's not just a good teacher. He's not just a good person. He's not just he just didn't just say a bunch of good. No. He's actually Lord. Like, he is actually Lord. He's actually King Jesus. Do the research. But it's not about it's not about convincing you, right? Because if somebody can convince you that the resurrection happened, somebody else could probably convince you that it didn't happen. But I would say start with the research. And I would tell you to pray that God reveals himself to you. Like, genuinely pray that Jesus would reveal himself to you in his fullness and in his realness. And place your faith in him. Place your faith in him. Because I think when we do that, when we start there, that's when the heart change happens. And it's not just about psychology and behavior modification and all that. All that could have a place, but it becomes a heart change that then is fleshed out in a life change. So those are my thoughts on the entire Jordan Peterson thing. And you guys could look it up. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what y'all.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Joshua the King came down and bore it all. Yeah. Conversations front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase? Wanna operate at a higher pace. Birth pains causing the body to dilate. On a first name basis with the worst.